We have Namibia and Senegal to talk about. And Namibia arrived last on Monday morning. The tournament kicked off on Tuesday. They did not have their captain's run. Could that have affected their start in the tournament? Because they had a bit of a slow start against Senegal, did you?
I don't think it contributed to that. Senegal were ready to play, and that's why it comes out like Namibia had a slow start, perhaps for their late arrival, but it's the resilience in Senegal that made it look like that. But they got into the game later on. The first games of the tournament, they're a bit slacky for most of the games. You could see that the favorites had a slow start, so it has nothing to do with the arrivals. It's basic. I don't know what happens in the warm-ups before the players come on, but there is always that bit of a slow start in there. About 3 minutes, then they gel into it, then get to their technique of play.
Talking about that start, Senegal had the firepower early in the game, and we saw how much they held on against Namibia. But ultimately, what was always going to make the difference was going to be the depth in quality that Namibia have to offer. And there's quite a number of players that have impressed you, Alan Mosoke, on this Namibia team.
Oh yeah, first of all, I'd just like to pick on the power of their number 11, Jagen. I think he's one of the quickest people that I've seen off the standing start. And there's a ball that he got earlier in the first half, and I was like, what is this? What's happening? So he just like blitz everybody else, but he was actually put down. They have Boysen is a big boy. They're number 8. He's a huge margin of a house, and he has crazy work rate. So they have a lot of talent across the field. I actually tend to think that their later rival has a way it does not allow teams to acclimatize quickly. And actually, if you look at it this way, both teams that played in the morning really struggle, because it's really outside the normal rugby playing time. So you don't have time to go through your match day routine as you have got accustomed to it, because you have breakfast, then you have a walkabout at about 10-11, then you go and then get strapped, then prepare for a 4 p.m. kickoff.
Or even some of them play at night.
Yeah, okay. Then they have taken all of that away, and so you just have to get into breakfast and then get onto the field. So I think those early morning games actually have a way of knocking a bit out of you until your body just gets, and the adrenaline just really starts pumping. It was interesting what you said about the warm-ups. I think then you can't go through the ideal warm-up that you have been practicing for, because then I think the S&C people just have to find a solution for a morning game. It is not normal in terms of that.
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, Namibia showed that they had a bit of a fine edge over the rest of their competition. I would love to think there are a couple of things that Namibia did well, and one of those was in their set pieces. Scrummaging didn't put a foot wrong, lineouts didn't put a foot wrong. Set pieces are a crucial part of the game. They set a good platform for your backs to explore. Lydia, how much do you think could maybe Namibia have done any better? There's no way they wasted opportunities, but how efficient were those backs?
The Bucks had an edge in terms of pace, but they only brought that out in the second half. I believe in the first half they were still trying to find themselves here and there, but in the second half they switched on play. And kudos to Senegal for tracking most of their movements in the first half, but now in the second half, and also that I believe the changes that came off the bench put a tune to that game and changed the entire pace of the game. However, now I think Senegal coming into the coming game, they'll have now to explore more of their bench options and factor it in to win.
Alan, it's okay. We've asked this question many times, but I would love maybe just one more time. This Namibia team, every time they're going to play the World Cup qualifiers, they always seem to have the edge over everyone else. This 55-17 score was the biggest that we saw on the weekend.
Yeah.
Is that a statement to Zimbabwe, the defending champions? Algeria, who reached the final? Kenya, who came second in 2022? Should they be worried, aware, or say maybe this is the normal Namibia that we've always faced?
I think the teams now put you start taking notice that this is a different tournament. It's a different team. It's a different mindset and a different prize at stake at the end of the day. So, but like I said, every team just tackles the next game. This game is out of the way. You actually now just totally focus on the next game. So Namibia for me looked very scary because they had all these options and they just kept battering through. You'll see a few players just struggle with the heat at some point in time. I thought there would be more water breaks during the different halves, and that came on a lot later. But the teams, I was particularly impressed with Senegal and how they actually held the Namibia scrum, because at no time did they actually get pushed back or shoved back, which is something that we expected when you look at the size and possibly the difference in weight. But again, conditioning comes through, where you're getting all these 60 kilos or 120 kilos coming at you, and the shoulders will have to give way at some point. And Namibia know that, so they're going to stick to their structures and they just keep hammering away at you until you eventually open up. So lucky for them, they have a lot of experience and a lot of skill scattered across the entire line.
Well, now's the opportunity for us to shout out to one of our partners, Omo, who proudly sponsor the Rugby Africa Cup. And they say, as Uganda's team battles mud and sweat, remember, that is good. And Omo keeps your jerseys fresh. Join the excitement. Go Uganda, go Omo, unbeatable on stains. We've looked at these 4 matches that we had in the quarterfinals in very good detail. Uganda and Kenya yesterday on the last episode. Yeah. Then they raced the other 3 in today's episode. The semifinals, we now know them, and tomorrow we'll just go dive deep as we'll have seen how they've performed in their training sessions, and maybe a couple of squad updates. I've seen a number of players limp off, a number of players not have their best turnout, so we'll expect a couple of changes. But Cote d'Ivoire will be playing Senegal at 10 a.m. Uganda will be playing Morocco at noon. Then the next game will be Namibia, Algeria at 2 p.m. and Zimbabwe, Kenya at 4 p.m. I know these are 2 different levels, but which is maybe we can say semi-final and then the placement games. Which is the one game to look out for on both the morning and the afternoon sessions?
For the morning games, I actually implore the fans not to miss the Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal game, because that is going to be a mammoth clash. They all have big boys, they all have silky runners, and they all want to prove a point to each other. Of course, the fact that you make it for that game then means you're going to watch Uganda take on Morocco. It's going to be a whole different prospect, because the Rugby Cranes don't want to drop 2 games in a row. And I think the last time they did that was a long time ago, because the last time out we lost just 1.
Yeah.
So that is something to look out for, and something that will be exciting. And then when we go into the main cup, it will be interesting to see how Algeria manages to slither through. But the last game of the day, I think, will be the match of the day. That's Zimbabwe-Kenya. I think it's going to be the match of the day.
And I'm interested in asking Lydia about this, because I've heard that you've changed your name to Tino Mavesere. You've been very clear on where your allegiances lie. True or false?
Let us first leave that one.
I've seen so many things flying around. One of them has been Friends of Zimbabwe. We are here,
Yeah.
so I'm sure it's going to be a lot of split camps. But yeah, let's just dive into that tomorrow.
we shall tell you something about that. I wanted to agree with Soki about the placement game. The game will be Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire. These two teams have changed up kits also from last year. Senegal had an all red, now they have stripes, green, red. Cote d'Ivoire, as always, feel the African spirit patterns. The one from last year was a bit darker colors. Now they have brighter colors, beautiful kit. That's the game to watch out for, very much balanced. I stick with what I said yesterday. The game of the day is the 2 p.m. clash. Namibia, Algeria, and for us, the fans, to watch more of those aspects of the rugby, the mauls, the line-outs, cross kicks, the scrums, all those aspects will be into play, yeah.